Good evening, everyone, or afternoon or morning, wherever you may be. Yeah, I decided to do a long live stream. Let me know if you can hear me well. Let me know if the volume's okay. Billy is here. All right. Hi, Alan. Nice to see you. There's quite a few of you already. So it will be a long one today. And I'll try to just answer questions today and yeah, talk with everyone as much as possible. Richard Martin, good morning from Aloha, from Hawaii, I guess. Bowman, hi, Bowman. Alias Jones, hello. Good audio, that's good. Simon Bevan, blessings, Mario, thank you. Hi, Pablo, and it says hi, Mario and Billy. Volume is terrible. All right, let's see if that, let's see now. Is that better? Let me know what you mean by terrible. Is it too high or how's the volume now? I guess 1 out of 5. Dave Martin from Cornwall. Yeah, Billy and I are well. Yeah, we had a nice Christmas. Better, okay. What about like this? Maybe it was a bit too far, the microphone. Yep, to Stame says volume is great. Okay, that's fine. No, nice to see you. Yeah, so my wife and I and Billy, because my daughter, she wanted to spend Christmas with some of her friends in Bristol. So, and I understand that because she, up until September this year, she was in the house here. We had the lockdowns, and she's actually moved away and she's renting her own place now and working. So yeah, we went to a friend's house and her boyfriend or partner, if you want to call it, her daughter and some other friends. Billy had company there. He had a couple of other dogs, our friends' dogs. One is Coco. She's a Chihuahua. She's 18 years old. And the other dog is Dottie. She's 6, and she's a mix of a Jack Russell and a Shih Tzu. So they got along really well. They ate and went out a little bit in the garden and then just slept. And so we had a very good time. We ate well and we drank well and we played Trivial Pursuit. And actually, I beat the girls at Trivial Pursuit. They weren't very happy. My daughter is in her 20s. She's 25. Have I got a grandson? No, no grandchildren. Tango Man, Merry Christmas, Mario. Thanks for all the sage advice. Hopefully it's not like sage. We have a sage here in the UK. They're a government scientific organization. I hope you don't mean it in that way. Patrick Gelbke saying, have you heard? What heard what, Patrick? Maybe I didn't see your question eventually, your first question. I think it's on the right setting, my microphone. Yeah, it's in the right setting. Anyway. I'm not from Yonkers, New York. No, John Hoyle says, I'm originally from Brazil, near Rio de Janeiro. I've been in the UK since 1992. but I did go to university in Florida, and a lot of my friends at university were from the Northeast because they like to come to Florida for university. So maybe I got a little bit of their accent. Did you get lots of goods for Christmas? Well, I mean, my wife and I, we bought some stuff before Christmas, so that's like our present. And yes, and we gave some presents to my daughter. That's it. And to our friends, we took some presents for them, and so that was it. But unfortunately, we probably would have gone to maybe gone to Switzerland. But things right now, because I have family there as well, but things like right now are so crazy still. You can't really travel freely, even if you have the procedure 3, 4, or 5. How many people have that? I don't know. Graham Hobbs talking about let's go Biden. Yeah, hi Paulette, nice to see you here. Yeah, it seems like maybe he has a problem with his speaker, or yeah. Alan, what does it mean when yields go up, and what does it mean when yields go down? What is a yield curve? Okay, I'll try to explain that quickly and clearly. So if you're talking about the bond market, of course, but let's say a stock pays a dividend, and the stock price is 100 and the dividend is 10%. And then the price of the stock goes up to 110 because people want to buy that stock. So you're still getting the $10 dividend, but the price is 110. So the yield on that stock goes down in percentage terms. Instead of being, you're still getting the $10, but the yield is a 10 divided by 110. For bonds, it's the same thing. You buy a 10-year bond at par. Let's say you buy it directly from the issuer in the primary market. It's priced at par, and you get let's say a 5% coupon, and then the price of that bond drops, let's say to 80 for some reason. So you're still getting the 5. You're still getting the coupon. Let's say $5 coupon, but the price is a lot lower. So $5 divided by 80 is going to be a higher yield. And all the yield curve is looking at different yields for different maturities, like from 1 week, 1 month, 3 month, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and normally, or 5 and 10, or even 30-year bonds. And normally yield curve slopes like that with time, because when you lend or borrow money, when you lend money for 10 years, for example, you want more of a return than when you lend for 10 weeks, because there's more risk. Sometimes the yield curve does invert, which means that investors are very they think that yield rates are going to go up in the short term and they're going to go down in the long term. But normally the yield is upward sloping with time. It's basically, yeah, if the price goes down because it's a fixed income. So if you buy a bond, as I said, at 100 and you get $5 a year, it's a 5% yield. But if the price goes down, let's say to 50 for some reason, that yield is going to go up, because you're going to be getting a 5%, a $5 coupon on a 50 on $50 equivalent, instead of $100. So the yield in the secondary market will go up and the price goes down. So I hope that you understood that, Alain. If you have any more questions, let me know. Tim Goodson, how do you see home ownership rights moving forward into 2022 and beyond? With so much debt in the system, I feel governments would collateralize mortgages the way the French did church property. I don't see that as a possibility. I don't know where you are, Tim, if you're in the UK or in the US. The biggest homeowners, I mean landowners in revolutionary France was the church, and also the aristocracy. In the UK, it's still the same. It's the aristocracy. They own 95% of the land. So for us minions, we only own 5% of the land. The people, the majority of the public in the UK, yes, house prices have gone up, but most of the land is owned still by big corporations, the aristocracy, the monarchy, and probably the church as well. So I don't see that happening in terms. Yeah, I don't really see the government doing anything. The only thing the government is going to try to do in terms of real estate is keep prices elevated so they can get more taxes. You're going to see a lot. Unfortunately, I think you're going to see a lot of elderly people who have properties die off, and the families are going to be lumbered with a big inheritance tax bill. In the UK, it kicks off just above £350,000. So it's revenue for the taxman, and also a stamp duty that's going to come back with a higher, when you buy a house here, you have to pay stamp duty, and the higher the price, the more stamp duty they get. So I don't think they can collateralize real estate here in the UK. But mortgage, you're talking about mortgage-backed securities? Well, they're probably already owned mostly by the Fed and the big financial institutions. And that's why I tell people that they should pay off their mortgages if possible. Get rid of debt, unless you want to be really owned by them. Did I watch The Untouchables? I think I did. I don't remember it that well. My accent sounds like something out of gangster TV series. Okay. Stray Dog at Play says BlackRock is corrupt. Well, I don't think BlackRock is just playing the system. I think it's the monetary financial system worldwide is pretty corrupt. I don't think BlackRock is the only institution that is corrupt. Look at JP Morgan. They've paid about $50 billion in fines since 2002. While we'd probably be in jail forever if we did a hundredth of what they did in terms of breaking the rules. McEwen Mines. Yeah, I've had McEwen Mines in the past. Rob McEwen, I think he's a clever guy. I think anyway, any kind of mining company, mining stock will do well in the next move higher. So you can have any miner, and I think it will do quite well. That's my opinion. Joker Alpha, in England, is there a way to determine how the UK tax is spent? Is there tax transparency? Well, yeah, you can look at the government budget and where the spending goes into. It's all public information. Fast Eddie says the banks are going away, and that pensions can't and debt and pensions can't you all see? Um, I think pensions, by pensions, I mean, you mean the state pensions. I think they'll be around, but they will just not buy that much. So yeah, like in Brazil, for example, my mother still gets like a state pension that my father paid into for him and for her, and it's a lot less than what he paid in terms of the minimum wage in Brazil, for example. He was paying the top that he could pay all his life for him. But what my mother gets now, it's still something, but it's not nowhere near in terms of purchasing power. So that's what I think will happen. Pablo Pina, is it true Basel III starts in January 2022? Well, I've done a lot of videos about Basel III early this year. So I'll just go quickly through it. The Basel III, I think you're talking about precious metals, how they're going to be viewed by Basel III rules, because Basel III rules are all about banking rules, and it's not just about gold. But as for gold, I think 2022, that's to do with the London bullion banks and the way they'll have to look at gold. And it starts in January, should be January 3rd, because I think January 1st is probably a holiday, or I'm not sure. It starts the first trading day in London. For the European, the London banks got a delay for the kick in of Basel III rules as it relates to gold. It will basically make it more expensive, and it will make it difficult for them to keep paper gold and paper silver on their balance sheets. But it's not like something that they have to do. If they, they don't have to do it, but it's going to cost them if they do keep trading as they do. But it already kicked in for the European banks as of, I think it was sometime in July this year. I've said many times, I'm not, it could help the price of gold and silver, but it's not something that I think is necessary to back. How do I mean my view on gold and silver and other commodities? So it would be a bonus if something happened, but I'm not holding my breath. David Bradley, thank you for your super chat. Gianfranco Bergania, what can you say about McEwen mine stock? I haven't looked at it recently. As I said, I had it years ago, that stock. I think Rob McEwen is a good guy, intelligent guy, but I can't say anything about the stock. I'm not like a stock analyst. John Treblecock, what are your thoughts when buying gold or silver through Bullion Vault? I never bought gold and silver through Bullion Vault, so I don't deal with Bullion Vault. Yeah, Bullion Vault are not like a bullion dealer. They're a storage company. I spoke to them earlier this year. They would deliver to you, but I think there's a limit per year that they'll deliver. And the silver, of course, if you buy it through them, it's unallocated. That's why you don't pay the VAT. But if you ask for delivery, they'll charge you the VAT. I'm not really too keen on Bullion Vault, and why? Well, because the Rothschilds invested millions in that company, and so did the World Gold Council. And I don't like those two institutions, the Rothschild banking family, nor the World Gold Council. I think they're in bed with the central banks. So that's why I don't deal with them. Miles, thank you for your super chat. What is Mario looking to get into after reset is complete? How will you change assets? Well, as I said, I think this reset is going to happen organically through the market. I don't think the powers that be are going to be able to bring in this great reset. That's even completely different, the great reset. This is like trying to bring in a new kind of economy. The reset I'm looking into is more of a asset, like you said, financial asset reset. Well, I'm sticking with the mining stocks. I think commodities are going to do very well. They're hugely, commodities, metals, they're hugely undervalued versus paper assets, stocks, and bonds, and real estate. And even if you don't get a crash in stocks like technology stocks or bonds, if you just get like a small correction and you get all the easy money that's flown into those assets into commodities, commodities are going to go. They're going to do multiple times better than those assets. And after that, I don't know what I'm going to get into. I don't know. It's difficult to say. Hopefully something that is undervalued and that I have use for. It's up to each individual to decide. Yeah, Jean-Richard Vare says Bullion Vault is pool allocated in Zurich. Yeah, I I haven't. I'm not interested in Bullion Vault. I have firms that I do have a relationship with, like Gold Investments. I trust them. They've been in business for 40 years. You can store your gold and silver with them. It's actually your gold and silver. You can go there and see the coins, or you can keep it yourself. And then Glint, I work with them. They hold allocated in Zurich, and yeah, that's the way I see it. HZJ79, thank you for your super chat. Is that Happy New Year in Polish? Or is it Merry Christmas? One of the two. Joker Alpha says China locked down 3 cities for the Henta virus outbreak. I hadn't seen that. Fast Eddie says Theta, Mario. Is that a new variant, Theta? Oh, I wanted to, if there's anyone on the live stream from Houston or in the US, I just wanted to show you, I received a 1 ounce silver bar as a present. You can see here, it says, don't know if you can see, at Maneco64. Can you see that? And then on the other side, it's got a golfer. And that was a really nice present I received from Blake. And I need to, yeah, promote him a little bit, not because he asked me to, but because he's kind of a friend now. Royal Coin, and it's royalcoins.com. He's based out of Houston. He's a really good guy. He's got a great little shop in Houston. So here's the address. He's just inside the 610 West Loop in Houston. Or I guess you can deal with him online as well, but you can go there as well. So he sent me this 1 ounce silver bar for Christmas, and it says at Maneco64, and there's a golfer on the other side, because most of you know I like to play golf, so I thought that was nice. So his name is Blake. Yeah, he does jewelry too, Alan. I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. Biwari Kickham. Biwari Kickham Stacker, New Zealand. Greetings, my people from Auckland, New Zealand, the land of the long white clouds. How are you all doing this wonderful Monday morning? Yeah, it's Monday in New Zealand. It's still Sunday here. Stacker, New Zealand, in London. But yeah, we're all doing great, I think. Douglas Wooden. NB says Merry Christmas, Mary from Norman, Canada. Carthago de Landa Est from Holland. Ermine Irving, I know Theta is a crypto. I was just joking. Douglas Wooden, what are your thoughts on Facebook, metaverse, digital real estate, and NFTs hustle? Some random persons I think it's crazy, and it's a bubble. It's basically a bubble. You might as well buy an acre of moon real estate. I think someone has done that in the past. It's just madness. But I guess some young people like that kind of stuff. And I'm not interested in the metaverse, that's for sure. Billy said he's not interested either. Tim Goodson, do you prefer gold and silver at these prices? Bought myself a 1943 Australian silver florin for Christmas. Has a dude on it. I think it's King George. Yeah, I have one of those. Actually, I have a 1943 florin. I think I have it right here, actually. Oh, I got 1936 one. Yeah, it's George the George 1936 is George V. I think 1943 is George VI, who's the current queen's father. Yeah, it's I think up until 1946, it's 925 silver. I like those coins, the florins. They're one of my favorites. Here's the and it's got the kangaroo and the emu. There you go. And then you've got George. This is George V. I think yours has got George the sixth. Robert Hutchins from Vermont. Hi, Robert. Oh, Tim Goodson is from Houston. All right. Uh, James Millward says, nice gift. Yeah, I thought it was a nice gift. That's 1 ounce bar. Graham Hobbs, yeah, Sotheby's, I saw. Yeah, this is going mad. Someone bought some NFTs, showroom. Yeah, I think it's a symptom that the money's becoming so plentiful and that people want to get rid of it. They've got too much of this. It's actually credit. They want to get rid of it before it becomes worthless. They want something real. They don't want to be left holding the bag. But I wouldn't buy if I had hundreds of thousands of pounds, I wouldn't put it in NFT, that's for sure. NB, thank you for your super chat. I want to donate more, but my primary source of income is gone in the new year. I won't bend the knee. Well, I'm grateful and thank you very much. And I wish you the best of luck. And I agree with your stance there. I think, yeah, we try to focus on positive things, but I can sense here, there's a lot of pressure here, and I can sense that they're trying to divide the two camps, though, those that will bend the knee and those that don't, and they're trying to put the blame on those who don't bend the knee for the health problems, and I think that's totally bogus. Evergrande unfinished apartments to be seized. Yeah, I mean, the Evergrande is really basically gone under. So government seizing it doesn't surprise me. Carthago says on crack a boom, try and buy a Rolex watch or luxury good, all sold out. Meanwhile, the poor and middle class are suffering energy prices. Yeah, well, you know, I've been trying to warn people for the last 6 years that this was going to happen. Hopefully, I've been able to help a few people out there. I was reading as well that what the Chinese are doing now because of the real estate bust. And there's an article last week I read in the FT that the wealthy Chinese, they're going and buying fine watches like Rolexes, Patek Philippe's. And I've noticed because I have a Rolex I bought in 2003, an Explorer. There you go. And I bought it for 2,000 pounds, but they're going now used secondhand for like 8,000. Am I gonna get rid of this watch to get only if I was really desperate, but I'm gonna hold on to it. And yeah, you won't be able to get anything of value. And the worst thing that I think we could start seeing next year, 2022, it's going to be food prices, energy prices. We're already seeing it. Anything that you need to survive is going to be very unaffordable. And I think commodities are going to go, they're going to hugely outperform paper assets, and paper assets could keep going up, but let's say the stock market might go up 50%, but I would say commodities could go up 100 to 150%. So you actually be losing purchasing power in terms of real things. That's what I think could happen. Excuse me, take a sip. Urban Sombrero, why would JP Morgan accumulate so much silver if it was an awful investment? Well, I actually think JP Morgan holds silver for clients, and I think it could be a sovereign client, big institutions. No, but I think these people, they don't want the public, knowing about gold and silver, how important they are. And that's why they do what they do. If gold and silver weren't important, we wouldn't have the bullion banks managing the price. Spanish John, yeah, it's an Explorer too. Not Joe King. Did you buy any Mylar bags? Let's see. I actually don't know what that is. Let me Google it. I'm sure you're gonna tell me. Oh, it's food. No, I don't have any of those. I don't have any of those. I think there might be disruptions in the supermarkets, and we've seen that in the last couple of years almost. But yeah, I'm fairly close to the countryside as well, and I know people who have access to farms. But I think it's more. Yeah, I don't know. Prices will go up, but I'm prepared for it. I hope. I don't have any Mylar bags though. Maybe I'll look into it. Hi, Grow Mechanic. Nice to see you. Lord Humongous is here. HSBC is custodian of gold ETF. They lack the actual bullion, multiple occasions, COMEX delivery bars. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't trust any of the ETFs. I know some people trust the Sprott ETF, but even that, when push comes to shove, the only way is physical, I would say. Lordy Munga says Manarino telling people to buy the big bank stocks. Well, I don't want to be in bed with the banks. I don't want to do, own that business. It could make you money or not, but it's like telling people to buy Pfizer stock. I would never do that. It's more, or other pharmaceuticals. I think it's wrong. Miles, your thoughts on fine art, bubble, hedge, neither, both? Well, if you look at the very, very wealthy families that have been wealthy for generations, they will have fine art, but it's a very, it can become a very illiquid market. For example, if we have like a collapse of asset prices, or a hyper stagflation, like Rafi Fabris was talking about today in this video, where everything that you need to survive goes up in price, but everything that's been inflated and is in bubble territory, you won't be able to get rid of them, because no one will have enough purchasing power to buy them. So I think it is a big bubble. Fine art, it could be a big bubble, but if you keep it for your children and grandchildren, eventually the credit market will pick up again, and it will be and they'll be very valuable. So you have to think, in my opinion, you have to really think long term on that. So this is when we should have been starting today. It's 9 o'clock. Today I decided to do an hour and a half special because it's a Christmas time, and I thought it would be interesting to do an hour and a half. And I think a lot of people, I think here in the UK, it's tomorrow is Boxing Day, and then Tuesday is also a bank holiday. So a lot of people here have a pretty long weekend. Not sure how it works in the US. Know about another gold sovereign? Lately, I can't find eagles or buffaloes and maple leaves. Well, gold sovereigns are good coins. I think US Air Force pilots, at least during World War II, and I think the Vietnam War, they had a little box that they used to go on their missions with, and it had 5 sovereigns in them. So if they were shot down and they had to parachute out of the plane, they would have gold, and it was usually sovereigns to survive in enemy territory. They wouldn't have Federal Reserve notes. That wouldn't do. Alan Zibelman, remember the Boxing Day tsunami? Yeah, it's just, it's all unraveling. I hope, hopefully, on them. Lauren says, Merry Christmas from Connecticut. Thank you. Oh, yeah, that's right, Carl Jones. Yeah, it is Boxing Day today. What I meant is they're going to have the Boxing Day bank. It's usually a bank holiday as well, Boxing Day. But as it's a Sunday, they're going to do it on Monday. And then Tuesday is going to be the bank holiday that you would have had for Christmas, I guess. But Christmas wasn't a Saturday. So, yeah. Oh, I'm going to show you something. My friend gave me this This one of the presents I got for Christmas was the Times, but it's from uh, November 13th, 1979. So you can see here. And it talks about the, hold on, the Iranian hostage crisis there. And it's, I read through the article, and it talks about, I think November 13th, 1979, they'd been, the Iranians had taken the embassy hostage, and they were students from universities in Tehran. They had taken them hostage. It had been for 8 days, and I think they stayed there up until Inauguration Day in 1981. So they were there for another 18 months almost. But the rumor is that it was the Republicans in the CIA and George Herbert Walker Bush who basically negotiated with the Iranian revolutionaries to keep the hostages there. And guess who was the guy they sent there to negotiate with the hostage takers and the Iranians? Well, it was Jim Rickards. And it's strange that no one ever asks him about that. And why would the CIA and George Bush, who was running as vice president, do that? Keep the hostages there? Well, because they wanted Jimmy Carter to look bad because you had an election in 1980. And was it any coincidence that on Inauguration Day, 1981, the Iranians released the hostages? And the guy who negotiated that apparently was Jim Rickards. So there you go. Alan Zibelman says 444 days. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting paper. I was reading the business section as well. They were talking about gold and silver as well. There's an article here because I think the price of gold on November 13th was $393. So by January 20th, 1980, it was up to almost 900. So it moved very quickly. Cheshire Yeoman says Rickards is a CIA stooge. Yeah, I mean he says it in plain sight that he works with them. I did interview him here last year. I think it was March time when everything was unraveling. Simju Adrian, hey Mary, do you think that silver to gold ratio can get 5-1? You mean the gold to silver ratio? Yeah. It's possible, but I would, if I had to bet on it, I would say it will get to around 20 or 16-1. I know there are a lot of people who think silver is going to become more valuable. They could be right, and I wouldn't mind that, but because I've got both. But yeah. Lily Robbins says, Mary, I have the same mug, drinking out of it now. Yeah, it's my End the Fed mug that I have in my Teespring store. It's quite old. You can see it's coming off, but it's one of the most popular ones in my Teespring store. The IMF has been quiet on their new Bretton Woods movement. Elliot Kurt's opinion on palladium. Well, it is a commodity. It is a metal, but I wouldn't equate it to gold and silver because it's not monetary. But I think it could do well with all the commodities moving higher, and I think they will. They will outperform paper assets, but I don't really follow palladium that closely. Lord Humongous says CIA's Caucasians in actions. Or there's someone else calls it something else. What is it? The cocaine uh, import agency, CIA. I've heard. Have you heard that one? Beverly Smith, Basel three. I mean, right now Basel three only needs to be implemented in the on the LBMA in London, the bullion banks in London. Um, yeah, they could delay it. I think the Bank of England is pushing for that, so they could get that delayed, or they could just ignore it and do a few creative accounting moves to make it so it doesn't matter for them. As I've said, I don't. The reason why I have gold and silver is not because of Basel III. It's because since 2002, I realized the monetary system is corrupt and that it will not last forever because you just have to look at mathematically. The more debt you create, there'll come a point where that debt mountain will just implode through a collapse or through a collapse of the currency, which is hyperinflation. So Basel III, I'm not too sure because Basel III was drawn up by the Bank for International Settlements, and the Bank for International Settlements is owned by the people who own the bullion banks. If you look at when the BIS was created, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Citi at the time in 1930, the European central banks that were private at the time, they are the major shareholders of the BIS. So they wouldn't do something to hurt themselves. So that's why yeah, who knows? Who knows? But are we going to see on the first day of trading in London in January everything change? I don't think so. And I'm just trying to be real here. I'm not trying to, and I spoke a lot this year already, in the first half of this year about Basel III because there are a lot of questions. You can go and search in my videos, and I said, yeah, don't put all you don't just buy gold and silver because of Basel III, and then try to get out to make a profit. Gold and silver are insurance. They're real money savings. Scott 49 140, when the currency collapses, do you think it will take the deep state with it? That's my hope because you saw in the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union collapsed and the ruble collapsed that the Soviet Union and the deep state there imploded completely. You could argue, yeah, Putin was like ex KGB, but it took years for them to recover. Joker Alpha. Uh, at what point will gold and silver spoofing not work? I think gold and silver spoofing they work in the short term. Spoofing is basically when you reach a key technical level, like right now 1810 or 1812 in gold, and then the market is strong, for example, and you can see that is going to break that level, then someone comes in and offers like 10,000 futures at that level because it's screen traded. And it's to try to keep that price lower from going through 1812. Yeah, it's not really just spoofing that manipulates gold. And but spoofing, that people have been fined for that, but they just keep paying the fines. Uh, Tim Goodson, do you like playing chess? Well, I used to play chess actually when I was like probably 8 or 10. when I lived in Brazil. I liked playing chess when I was younger, but I haven't played in a long time. One game I like playing is backgammon, and that I haven't played for a while either, though. Chris Snow. Yeah, and first I want to apologize if I don't answer your question. It's not that I don't want to answer it, because there's quite a few people, and there's a lot of a lot of questions. I'll try to answer as many as possible. Um, so what was the question here? Yeah, oh, Chris Snow, how long can they keep manipulating the price of gold? Well, up until they run out of physical. Yeah, that's why I keep telling people you need to keep stacking physical gold and silver, not paper, because they don't mind the paper, because they can write as much paper as they want. So and we noticed this year that a lot of the big central banks are buying a lot of gold this year. So, and I don't think they like that, but we as a public need to keep doing it as well. And I think I don't think consumer prices are going to abate or even go down. They're going to keep getting worse. And I think when the general public realizes that inflation is not going to be brought under control, they're going to start going into gold and silver. I think, yeah, it's been a frustrating year for gold and silver, but at the same time, it's been a blessing in disguise, I think, for those of us who know what's going on, because it's given us one more year to try to stack as much as possible. So that's the way I see it. Low blood pressure. I did see that Biden got trolled. Let's go, Brandon. I think actually he reacted quite well. He kind of made it seem like it was okay. He didn't fall for it. Not that I like Biden, but I think yeah, he kind of said, okay, yeah, that's good, SK, thank you for your super chat. Reagan gave the orders, very illegal negotiating with terrorists. He should have been impeached. Yeah, I don't really think Reagan was in charge. Reagan was just a puppet for George Herbert Walker. He was just like, yeah. Conspiracy Burger, who's buying treasuries right now? I think it's still the Fed, because I was watching Rafi Farber's latest video, and he noted that since November 3rd, when the Fed announced they're going to start doing tapering, they've bought about 216 billion worth of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, and I think in the month of December, they've already bought 140 billion. So they're saying that they're going to taper, but they're still doing more than, yeah, they're still doing over 120 billion, which is more than before tapering. So yeah, I think the Fed still, we need to keep an eye on it, on the balance sheet of the Fed, because I don't think they're being honest about this tapering. I could be wrong, but we got to keep track of it. So I think a lot of it is the Fed buying treasuries. David Kemp from Australia. Ever listen to Harry Brown and his recommendation of 1/4 each gold, cash, shares, and bonds? I've heard of Harry Brown, but I don't remember his recommendation. Um, It depends. I mean, what kind of shares you want to hold. And I would say I consider gold cash. What he considers cash, I think, is uh, basically credit, because the currency nowadays is credit. Um, I look at gold as cash, so I would try to avoid having the cash. What about bonds? I think, maybe short term bonds could be okay, like 1 year bonds, but I think interest rates are on their way higher in the next few years, next decades. I think we're entering a bear market in bonds. Butch Michael, how many CIA you think watch the show? I don't know. Gordon Hamilton, here in the UK, the higher the spot price of silver goes, the more money will we will be handing away in tax to our governments. I don't think there is capital gains tax on silver. Maybe what you mean is because of the VAT. If you're going to buy, that's why you need to buy as much as possible now, I think. But there is no capital gains tax on silver if you buy coins of the realm. Tricky Dicky, have these crooks ever made any threats to you? No, no, I haven't never been threatened by anyone. Richard Martin, can you talk about 40-year bond cycle? Yeah, I made a video, I think, I don't remember exactly when, but it could have been last year. I'm not sure. But I looked at the bond yields going back to 1941. And I think just before Pearl Harbor, the 10-year yield bottomed around just below 2%. And from 1941 till 1981, they went from below 2% all the way up to 16, I think it was 15.68%. That was the high on the 10-year, or it could be 16.5. I'm not sure which. So that was 40 years. And then the way I see it is that 2021 is the next cycle, cycle low. I think it was hit last year in March because the 10-year yield went to like 0.3. And the other thing as well, there seems to be a 20-year cycle in between there. Back in like 1994, there was a bear market for a year in bonds. So I think it's gonna, the tendency for the next 10, 20, 30 years is gonna be it's not gonna be as easy to borrow money. It's going to be harder. It's not going to happen overnight, but we could see a big spike in the next 2 to 3 years, but then it will go back down. But the trend, the change will have happened. Yeah, so I think there is a 40-year cycle, and it's happened within a fiat currency era, though. I don't think those cycles were as pronounced under a sound money system. Dmitry Shmerkovich, thank you for your super chat. I think lack of positively yielding sovereign bonds worldwide speaks loud and clear that the end is near. Yeah, Rafi Faber, he talks about this as well. I interviewed him last week, and these negative yielding bonds, what it means, it's just crazy. It means that because when you lend money for a certain time, you have you have to charge something for time preference, because most humans would want to spend or use something now instead of waiting, because we all die, right, one day. So the fact that the bond markets have negative yield in the US, it's like -5%. It means that people think that they're immortal. The bond market is saying the whole, human beings have become immortal and they'll never die because they don't have a time preference. They don't care. You can take my money for 30 years and give me back 90% of it. I don't care. Take it. Yeah, it means that things are, and the reason why that is that what you said there, that what did you say, that the end is near. Yeah, it's all been done by the central banks. They've completely manipulated it. Can they keep it going for longer? They can, but the commodities and gold and silver are gonna like go through the roof, and they're gonna put the spotlight on the fact that these paper assets, these stocks and bonds, are just not real. Their valuations are not real. I'm not saying that a company is not worth something, but it's not worth what we're being told. It's just a fiction. Lord Humongous, Mario, how much can the queen get for that crown of hers on the black market? Yeah, I'm not even sure it belongs to her. It belongs to the state. Even I'm not sure. Neil Moy, what do you think will happen to the big banks? Will they disintegrate with the Fed? Do you think they have an escape plan? Well, I think they will disintegrate with the central banks because they're tied at the hip. Do they have an escape plan? I don't think so. I think their escape plan is happening right now with what's been happening since March last year. They're the ones, doing this to the public, but hopefully this is unraveling. They're trying to put us in a straitjacket. They're trying to enslave us. They're succeeding in Europe, on the continent, which is a shame, and in places like Australia. But hopefully, people are waking up. Patrick Gelpke, Dr. Marco Metzler is predicting that derivatives collapse has already started with Evergrande. Yeah, I agree with him about the tangibles, Patrick. And he's been spot on about Evergrande. Derivatives are still like the gorilla in the China shop, or whatever you want to, or the bull in the China shop. Derivatives, the system is highly leveraged, and it's difficult to know what the bankruptcy of Evergrande will do to banks like HSBC. It could be like a domino effect. So he could be right. But I think the central bankers and the governments are going to keep trying to inflate it. Tim Goodson, how much room is left for small business to compete if USA yields go nominally negative? Seems like we are entering a covert form of fascism. Yeah, I mean, nominal yields going negative in the US is possible. That would be basically a nail in the coffin for the dollar as a major reserve currency, I would say. And yeah, the problem with low interest rates is that it helps the big corporations because they have access to the Federal Reserve spigot and the big banks. And you're right. But if things don't go the way they want, there could be a revival for small businesses. Who knows if the system unravels. Silver Sonic, thank you. Have you ever seen the Johns Hopkins scenario planning document called the Sparse Pandemic 2025-2028, Chapter 17? In particular is very interesting. No, I haven't seen that, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of things that they've planned that is happening now. Benoit Guillou, it's sometimes hard to tell if someone is oftenly spot on because he's tremendously intelligent or simply an insider. Okay. That's true. I guess if you get inside information from the insiders and you pretend you don't know them, and then it makes it look like you've done a good job of guessing. Miles, thank you for your super chat. There are now more drug addicts globally than ever before. The jabbed exhibit the same symptoms as addicts, even hardcore junkies in some cases. The drug companies have strung out the world. Well, it's not just that. I think the lockdowns haven't been good. You know, people haven't been able to see their doctors as much. They might have had other problems, medical problems that were not diagnosed. I think a lot of the stress has hurt a lot of people mentally. Also, substance abuse, more drinking. I heard also a lot of suicides. So yeah, it's been really detrimental to the whole, to people. It hasn't been a nice time, and hopefully it will end soon. Lord Humongous says the Bank of England stole all the silver in Ireland. I wouldn't be surprised. Sarah Brown says the problem with big banks and conglomerate global corporations that those who run them don't really care about the business. They know they'll get the golden parachute return to some island. Yeah, that seems to have been, and that's happened more under this period of ever declining interest rates, because the big corporations have been able to financial engineer everything. They've been able to issue bonds that keep going up in price, and with the cash from those bonds, they'll buy back the stocks. They've issued themselves options. Yeah, it's a huge, like you said, they're not there really to build a business and pass it on maybe to their family. They're just there to enrich themselves. And the other thing they've done, they've outsourced a lot of the production to to other countries where wages are like a tenth of what they are in the US or Europe. So yeah, it's really I mean, very short-term thinking. Hulk Hogan Carl, gold and silver is at a massive bargain. I agree, Hulk Hogan Carl. I said earlier in this live stream that even though this year has been frustrating for gold and silver holders and buyers, not really buyers, but it's been a blessing in disguise for those of us who know what's going on, because it's given us another year to try to get prepared. So there you go. And Cooper says, I look forward to your videos every morning. Mario, thank you for keeping me sane. You're welcome. And thanks, Anne, for your interest in what I have to say. uh, yeah, Danny Dan, drug abuse, alcoholism, homicides, and overall crime will keep increasing. Yeah, just think of Brazil, and other third world countries, where there's a lot of crime, and like in the big cities, it's going to get more and more like that, unfortunately, and more wealth disparity as well, or wealth inequality. John Flynn, thank you for your super chat. Let's hope for more pushback against health tyranny in 2022. PMs are solid bet, but add having an ability to work some land is equally important. I agree. I mean, not all of us can own land or have a little farm or something like that. But I guess you can do it in your garden. Even in apartments, you can grow some stuff. John Norris says the printing press soon won't be enough. They'll have to make a new war. I think they're already at war, John, and it's against us, really. Tasunki Whitco, what's this QFS system coming in? Everyone's talking about it. I wouldn't put any credence to this quantum financial system. I've never talked about it. I think it's bogus, because I think the problem has been financialization. What we need is more balanced economy where with sound money and people trading with each other openly and freely and using sound money and the free market. So I've got nothing to say about QFS. I think it's fiction, personally. Seeker says Sweden is picking up a fight with Russia at the moment, wanting to put military on Ukraine border. Uh, I didn't know. I mean, of course, Russia has a border with the Ukraine, but Sweden is nowhere close to the Ukraine, so I'm not sure about that. And I just read that the Russians have withdrawn like 10,000 troops from near the border with the Ukraine. I don't think the Ukraine, Russia wants to invade the Ukraine anyway. Elon Musk, Ox, Zero Hedge article saying Fed's taper is a deliberate act to take down markets, not a policy error. Well, I said about 10 minutes ago, the Fed is actually, since they said on November 3rd that they're going to start tapering in December. But if you look at their balance sheet since November 3rd, their balance sheet is increased by 215 billion. And since December 1st, their balance sheet has increased by 140 billion. So they're not doing any tapering right now. So we need to keep our eyes on the Fed's balance sheet. Yeah, if the amount of QE starts decreasing, then yes. But I'm not sure if the Fed wants to bring things down by design. Who knows? but I don't think so. Ukbay Gulian, do you sense civil unrest is brewing and ready to erupt, awaiting a catalyst to happen? Well, I think so. I mean, in Europe, in the UK, in the US, they seem to really be pushing this health crisis and the in the medical procedure and the passports. Yeah, I think that might be what they want. They want the public to get angry and to rise. They want them to, get debate, so they will have even more excuse to crack down on us. And that's why I think it's important for people to be cool about it. But it doesn't mean to say that you submit to them, but you just say no. But but breaking things and burning things is not going to help. That's the way I see it. But there you go. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. If the Fed hikes rates, say to 1% or so, the market starts collapsing. They then reverse course and take us back to zero. They then start QE to infinity. Also, would this be the catalyst that rockets gold much higher? That could, but I think the Fed, even if they start raising rates, gold will start going up, because it shows that they're worried about what they've done, how much they've inflated, and the only way they can really stop gold is if they raise rates really aggressively, and by that I mean by more than 1% at every meeting, so they will get maybe to 10%. But they're not going to do that. Of course, they're talking about raising rates 3 times this year, and that could be up to maybe a 0.75% or 1%. So, but that would also put a rocket up gold's price and silver. But yeah, because they're chasing the inflation now, but they're not going to get, they're way behind the curve, I think. South side, yeah, what if rates went up to 20%? Well, that's where they really need to go, if they want to bring inflation, prices down. But that would basically make the early 80s, there was a double dip recession, 1980, 82. That would make that double dip. That was the worst recession since the Great Depression. That will make it look like a picnic. It will make the Great Depression look also like a picnic. And why is that? Well, because the amount of debt in the system is overwhelming. It's never been seen before. And that's why they're trapped. Mr. Ashford, I'm in Sacred Economics. Charles Eisenstein wrote about ideas tying negative rates to green incentives to save the world, of course. Could you see the banksters attempting to do this? I've never heard of Charles Eisenstein or that book, and I don't really know what green incentives are to save the world. And I don't think the bankers are trying to keep interest rates negative as they are now to save the world. They're trying to keep that to save their skin. So yeah, and why save their skin? Well, because the banks are highly leveraged and they can only keep going with free money, because the more leverage you get, you have to keep asset prices high, and you need the free money to keep, you have to keep playing the music, so to speak. So I've never heard of that. I think that's that I don't know what that green incentive means. Is it to do with climate change? If it is, I think it's BS, to be honest. David Bradley, Maneco64 gold money machine gun in gift store comes with 64 one. Okay, whatever. Don't know what that means, David Bradley. And Cooper says, reading The Great Depression, a Diary by Benjamin Roth. Yeah, I think someone sent that to me as well. I haven't finished reading it. It's a good book. UK Ukbay Guyan, do you think fiscal planning will center around resource allocation? Green energy isn't meeting the hype. Well, fiscal planning, I guess, is depending on how big the government is. But if we get the inflation that we have, the government is going to have a tough time allocating anything. Southside, what banker family made the call to shoot Kennedy? I don't know. Oh, talking about the Kennedys, there's a good interview. I don't know if you guys heard of Jimmy Dore. He's an interesting guy on YouTube, Jimmy Dore. He interviewed Robert Kennedy Jr. I highly recommend the interview. I did order the Robert Kennedy Jr. Book on Fauci. I haven't received it yet. Neil Hunt talks about the Forgotten Depression, 1921. Yeah, I mean, James Grant, yeah, from the Interest Rate Observer has talked about that. That was the last depression that the government allowed it to, they didn't interfere. Their Keynesian economics wasn't about at the time, wasn't around. So they just let the market and the free market and the banking system clear everything. It was quite sharp depression, but it only lasted a year. John Knox says the Fed is going to raise rates 75 basis points in 2022. Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? 75 basis points. I remember when they used to raise it in a meeting by 75 basis points, John. So, and I think they'll probably wait until April to start because they want to end tapering by March. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to end tapering, and they're going to keep doing QE, I think. But yeah. Jonathan Daniel, would you ever be open to doing a live debate against the deflationist bond hodlers like Jeff Snyder and Harry Dent? They are spreading lunacy, dump metals, hodl bonds. Yeah, I would do. I mean, someone wanted to have me on their channel to talk about it. The problem is, the the bond markets they're fraudulent. They're not natural. They're being bid up by the central banks. I think the major central banks had $3 trillion in balance sheet uh, when at the 2008, just before the 2008 crisis, 3 trillion, all the major central banks of the world. And now they're up to over 30 trillion. Where do you think the extra 27 trillion has gone to? Well, it's gone into the bond market. And that's why, interest rates are so low. And like Rafi Faber said, we're already seeing it. Prices of everything you need, commodities, utilities, energy, rentals, education, health, it's all going through the roof. The currency is collapsing. Yeah, and you might even continue to see bond prices go up and stock prices go up. But I think we're at a juncture where a lot of the gains are going to be made in the real tangible asset side or tangible good side. And I think the problem with at least Harry Dent, I don't know much about Jeff Snyder, is that Harry Dent doesn't realize that in the 30s, during the Great Depression, 1929 to 35 or whatever, the dollar was as good as gold. So, and nowadays the dollar is a piece of that instrument that has been inflated out of all, all limits. So, yeah, he confuses the present day Federal Reserve note with real money, gold. That's the problem. But no, I wouldn't mind if someone wanted me to go on another channel and have a debate. I don't want to bring them on my channel. I don't really have an interest in talking to those guys, but if someone asked me to go, I would. Benoit says, the problem is it wouldn't be a debate on equal footing in terms of honesty. You'd probably break quite a sweat just to put up 2 words without being interrupted. Maybe. Yeah, the economy is cratering, Gianfranco, but so is the currency. If the economy is cratering, and it's going to get harder and harder for people to survive, and the currency is going to become worth less and less. But you could have asset prices going nominally higher. In real terms, they could go lower. I remember if you look at Venezuela some years ago, they had the best performing stock market. Lord Humongous Mario, we want you to bring John Adams back on the show. Yeah, I'll have a word with him. We stay in contact. He's a good guy, John. Alternate view says John Adams took off to Mexico. I don't think, I'm not sure. I thought he was still in Australia. I know that Max Egan, went to Mexico. And Cooper liked the London Poll interview. Thank you. Tricky Dicky, that's true. USA, the biggest military, all paid with just paper. But the day, faith and confidence is lost in that paper, especially by foreigners, will be that day that the US military won't be able to. It's going to be like the fall of the Soviet Union. Yeah, you're going to see, yeah, it's going to be mayhem. And it will happen because it's not natural. Tim Goodson says he enjoyed my John Titus interview the most. Yeah, I've had John Titus a few times on the channel. The last one about BlackRock, I think we did. That was the one you're talking about. Well, we got 5 minutes. Butch Michael says, might have to go to Mexico myself. My views on platinum. Uh, I think they will platinum. I don't have any platinum. I view it more as a industrial metal, even though you could say it is a precious metal. But I think all commodities are set to go a lot higher uh, versus stocks, bonds. General stocks, bonds, and real estate. Thoughts on the powers that keeping this pantomime going for the rest of 2022? I actually think, it seems bleak at the moment, but I think more and more people are waking up to their farce and their scam, really. So I think it's going to be seem pretty dire in the next few months, but I think eventually people are going to wake up. That's my hope. Carl, thank you for your super chat. Thanks for all your content. By any chance, have you got hold of that Goldman Sachs book? Is that the one written by the French author? I haven't yet, but I've got it on my list. It's just that I'm reading like 2 or 3 books right now. I have to finish them first, and if I buy too many books, I'll end up not reading them. But I have that on my list, and thank you very much. Scoby7, Mario, you dominate the historical. Gammon does the technical accounting. All right. Yeah, I think George Gammon is a good guy. I see he's a golfer as well. He has a pretty good golf swing. Jonathan, Daniel, any opinions on junk silver versus minted? Uh, I like both as well. I mean, if you prefer junk, it's not a problem. I don't think. Well, I don't think it is at all. Alan Zibelman says his leg was crushed by a 1 ounce platinum. Was it the $1 trillion coin, Alan? Do you remember that they wanted to mint $1 trillion coin to write off the debt ceiling or something? Requa or Requois crap gold jewelry is the best way to buy gold. Well, you need to find a jeweler that has the least premium, I guess. But if you buy 9 carat jewelry, gold, it still has gold in there. It's just a 3/8 gold, isn't it? But it still has gold. Lord Humongous, barbarous precious metals are a waste of time. Yeah. I agree with Robert 292. Gold is the most honest money and therefore the most suppressed, and silver as well, I would say. Silver is really the money and currency as well, because it used to, flow as currency of the general public. Chris Conman says, thanks for all you do in educating us. Oh, Mario, cheers to you. Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for the kind words. And Cooper, yeah, the utility bills, I think they will hit hard after April, because that's when the energy providers here will be able to raise the prices. So yeah, no, I know they're going to be higher, and I think a lot of other things are going to go up in price. Alan Zilberman, 24 karat gold is a guarantee of 999 gold. The only problem with 24 karat gold is that you have to handle it carefully, because it's just pure gold, and gold is very soft and you can damage it easily. I don't think there's a problem with like US gold, like 0.9 or even 22 karat gold or 18 karat gold. I think it's probably better, because you won't lose as much. That's why circulating coins are never 999. All right. So an hour and a half. Wasn't that bad. And hopefully you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm not taking time off for Christmas and New Year. We're going to keep going. Every day is the same. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Miles says, just one more question. Why wouldn't 100% gold backed system work? I think it would work, but I think it would be better to have 100% gold and silver as well. And some people might argue, how will banks lend if it's 100% gold back? Well, you could issue equity. You could have banks that, you finance new businesses through equity and not loans. So there you go. And you could still loan out the gold. But the loans have to be 100% backed. All right. Thank you everyone for showing up. I wish you all a best, a great rest of the day, Sunday or Monday if you are in New Zealand or Australia. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.